So recently, I hit a massive milestone in my own journey as a creator in the health and fitness niche. I finally got accused of not being natural. And honestly, I found this so funny, because anyone that knows anything about anabolic steroids is not looking at my 86 kilogram body on my 6'1" inch frame and thinking, he's definitely on gear. Like when I'm just wearing a t-shirt, it literally looks like I don't lift. But this person's gripe, in fairness, was more about my ability to make consistent strength gains in the gym, presumably alongside my running, rather than my not so juiced up looking physique. But what's crazy to me is that with no ounce of bad will, some people are just more ready to believe that the only way to make steady, strong progress is with hormonal supplementation, rather than the much more likely alternative, that I put in hard work consistently over a long period of time. Thankfully, someone with a bit of common sense jumped to my defence and clarified the situation. But to be honest with you, I don't know what I should be more offended by now. Actually, if you think about it, being a doctor and all, it would be super easy to just take a bucket load of Trent from the drug cupboards at work, because there's always just so much lying around in the hospital. One for the future maybe. But I've got an upcoming 10k race and powerlifting competition in the next couple of months, both of which I hope to beat my current PBs in of 39.58 and 587 kilograms. So with that in mind, along with this dark cloud of controversy hanging over me, I thought I'd explain how I managed to get stronger and faster than average at the same time. So I'm just at the gym, but first I wanted to explain what I meant by being above average, because average is obviously different if you're a man or a woman, or if you're 20 versus 50, but I truly believe that most people within their own demographic slice are capable of being above average runners and weightlifters at the same time. But actually figuring out what average is for you can be tricky, because most of the data looking at what an average 5k time or powerlifting total is contains some element of selection bias, because it's only including people that actually go out and run a 5k or do a powerlifting total, if you see what I mean. But most of you probably have a rough idea of how other people in your own age group and gender perform just by your own lived experience of what you see in the gym day to day, or what you see at local races and park runs, with the one caveat being that you're probably overestimating how good the average person actually is. So blending your own observations with some of the data that's out there that I'll put up on the screen now is probably the best course of action to give you a ballpark figure of what average strength and fitness means for you. But anyway, time for me to go do some squats. I actually think the whole idea of average in strength and fitness terms is pretty arbitrary and not super important, so it's never really been something that I've given a whole lot of thought to until making this video, of course. Instead, I've always tried to be more focused on myself and being better than I was before, and quietly building momentum of forward progress up to a point where I'd surpass by any measure what someone might deem as average in terms of running and lifting. Now time for bench press and then some shoulders. So I'm going to break down my 3 steps to how I keep making progress, and it's pretty straightforward. To get better than average results, which might seem tough, you need to put in better than average effort, which is a surprisingly low bar to pass. Fundamentally, the only 3 things that I've ever needed to make progress are 1, have a plan, 2, be consistent, and 3, recover. Whereas most people that are below average runners and lifters, it's because they're not doing at least one of these things properly. So first of all, for me, I have a written plan detailing what I'm going to do each week in the gym and out on the road with my running. I did it myself, it was super easy, and I talk about it in this video here. The amount of work that I do now is more than when I first started, which is how it should be. But when I first began hybrid training back in 2023, initially I had to do very little to see progress. I ran my first sub 20-minute 5k within 6 months of regularly running about 20 kilometers each week. And at the same time, I hit a powerlifting total of 420 kilograms, I think, off the back of only a couple 1-hour CrossFit sessions each week. So not super specific or targeted training, but more than enough to make good progress. And for those of you out there worried about the interference effect, which is the idea that regular cardio interferes with your ability to build strength and muscle, Well, don't be, because it's mostly a load of rubbish, unless you're truly an elite athlete in either one of those disciplines. For instance, right now, I'm really close to my all-time best powerlifting total, which I hit back in 2019 at a heavier body weight, back when I used to lift weights 4 to 5 times a week, and when I did zero cardio. So running has not impacted my ability to get stronger, and if anything, it's helped me stay relatively lean year-round, whilst also making my higher volume sessions in the gym feel a lot easier. As long as your training plan accounts for the 2 different competing stimuli, you're good to go. But keeping a record of what I've done not only keeps me accountable, but it means that next time I know what I'm building on from, so that over weeks and months I can ensure that I'm increasing my total training volume, i.e. running faster or further, or lifting heavier weights or more frequently. Of course it's okay every once in a while to mix things up, and your training plan can change as your goals do, but doing a random amount of work a random number of times each month is not a reliable way of achieving progressive overload or getting stronger and fitter. Which leads on to my next point, which is consistency. In my experience, it takes around 3 months of consistent work to see any noticeable improvement with your strength or fitness. So my real superpower of these last couple of years hasn't been testosterone, but instead my ability to stay motivated and turn up week after week alongside my busy work life and sandwich together successful blocks of training. And these have compounded together to help me go from relatively unfit and not particularly strong to a decent runner with a sub 19-minute 5k and a competitive local powerlifter at the same time. And I often get asked how I stay motivated to train, and there's probably 3 things that spring to mind. One is this YouTube channel, which has allowed me to document my journey and connect with like-minded people, so thanks to you guys. But secondly, I try and fill up my calendar with a range of different races and competitions, which each act as mini bursts of motivation throughout the year and allow me to switch up my training every few months so that it doesn't feel stagnant. I'm not particularly competitive at any of these events. As I said, I only claim to be above average, not elite, but that's not really the point. These competitions are just a great opportunity to try a new experience, put all your hard work to test, and just soak up the good vibes. Seeing progress keeps you consistent. One of the big benefits of hybrid training is that there are so many different angles you can focus on at any one time. In this last year alone, I've done a duathlon, a marathon, a couple of ultras, a high rocks and countless parkruns, etc, etc. So most months I'm able to hit some form of PB, which helps to gamify the process and keep it fun. And finally, recovery is the last point where a lot of people trip up, and is probably at least 40% of the whole puzzle. And this is the boring stuff, like getting plenty of sleep each night, eating enough good quality food and protein, and also managing your training load so that you're minimising your risk of injury. I don't have any super unique insights here, so I don't want to teach you guys to suck eggs, but it really is the simple stuff that makes the biggest difference. Like for me, I try and get at least 7 hours of sleep each night, often more, with night shifts being the one exception where my sleep schedule gets all kinds of messed up. But sleep requires planning. Like on my work days, I'm usually up just after 6, so to hit my target, I need to be in bed, lights off, way before 11. I've got a few different videos talking about my approach to diet, so I won't repeat all that here, but in summary, eat your flipping vegetables and eat enough protein. And another thing in this bracket that people are always asking me about in the comments is mobility. And again, I'm a simple man, I keep things simple. Mobility is for sure important, but only in so much as you can perform your normal daily tasks and your workouts through a full and safe range of motion. You don't need to be able to do the splits or touch your palms to the ground to run an above average 5k or bench 2 plates. So I tend to do some gentle hip and leg stretches after most of my workouts, and also more recently some upper body mobility stuff, mainly just so that I can hold that low bar squat position because of my previous shoulder surgery. And I promise, if you do these 3 things, it is pretty much impossible to not get fitter and stronger than average. And then, and only then, can you go on to inject a bucket load of anabolic steroids. But that's it for today, guys, so follow me on Instagram or Strava if you want to keep up to date with exactly what I'm doing to get fitter and stronger, and subscribe down below for more running, lifting and general fitness content, and I'll see you again next time.